Well, hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. Had a little something come to my mind this morning. Let's talk about things that you'll find different in the Philippines. First thing, a friend of mine and I were out yesterday, and his family was going to visit another friend, and he's from Finland, by the way. And we were driving along, and I seen a tricycle with a propane tank in the back of it, which made me think. I asked him, I said, when you buy propane in Finland, and you go get it refilled, and it's a different provider that you get your tank refilled from. Most places that exchange the tank. Does a regulator fit? He said, yeah. I said, not here. Every brand has its own style of regulator. So you're forced in sticking with that one particular brand. And that's another thing too I had to get adjusted to. Of course, I've not bought a barbecue grill here yet, not a gas one. And main reason because they're very expensive. But they don't come with a regulator and hose kit. That's something you'll buy separate here. That's different, isn't it? The next, finding milk in a refrigerator. So far, the groceries I've been in, I've not found refrigerated milk. Now, I found milk that's been irradiated, whatever, any way you know what I mean, on the shelf in the little 1 liter containers, and it's very expensive, and it's got a weird taste. I have bought it. And that's the only thing I have found. Of course, I've got accustomed to buying powdered milk, which I didn't see much of when I was living in the States. Occasionally you would find it. But, powdered milk is a very common thing here. And I'm pretty sure the reasoning behind that is still as developed as this country is, the majority of Filipinos don't have refrigeration. And that's the main reason you'll find individual packs of shampoo, toothpaste, and so forth. Because they buy this stuff on a daily need. Because they can't afford the bulk items. Like I buy shampoo, a sizable bottle once a month that normally carries me through the month. They buy these little sachets. Check these also, double track myself. Another thing, of course, you may find it in some major cities, but here, of all the groceries I've been to, there's no self-rising flour. There's no cornmeal. Of course, I've got accustomed to that too. I can get cornmeal ground at the local market, or I can buy it online, which I've been buying it online lately because it's a better quality. Makes better cornbread. Flour, I've gotten used to using baking powders and so forth. Here's one for you. When I lived in the States, I never seen a cell phone with dual SIM card slots that you can carry 2 different carriers. That's different, isn't it? Here you can especially on the prepaid models, like I currently and Grace have. I actually do have 2 different carriers on my phone, which is pretty handy. Because there's still areas that the one I use mainly, you can get in and there's no service. So what I do, I just add a little load to the optional number, and I've got internet again. And another thing, unless you live in the major cities, finding a reasonable pizza that's edible, that can be a task. Really, it can be. Fortunately, our small town that we do most of our business in has finally got a couple of places that the pizza is quite good. And it's not uncommon to see vendors, like in the market and so forth, selling these little pizzas, and that's probably the most terrible thing I've ever tasted. We've even had some good pizza go bad here. They made a really good pizza, and for some odd reason they changed the recipe and they killed it. I don't consider banana ketchup pizza sauce. Yeah. So I laugh every time I think about that. But anyway, that's kept us from eating. That's several common pizza places that we used to eat at. Them changing the recipe and putting banana ketchup or no sauce at all. And then it's just a plain dry bread, make-believe cheese pizza, and it's just about as bad. Small towns. Stop signs. Basically non-existence. A 4-way intersection. It's who's the bravest? You think I'm joking? But that's the way it is. When you come to an intersection, I'll give you an example. Our city of San Carlos has a national highway runs through the middle of it, which in your mind you would think that's the main thoroughfare, and they've gotten several intersections going through the city. Do you think they look at the national highway as the primary road? No. The most dangerous situation you'll ever be involved in. It's you be coming up on there and you think it's clear, and all of a sudden here comes a bullet through. You get a glance at it and you figure out, oh, that was a vehicle crossing the national highway like there was never no traffic on it. That's something you'll find. I remember when I first got here, Grace and I were doing some legal work to get my permanent resident. And I was amazed to see manual typewriters. I'm talking about antique manual typewriters in common use. And I've also seen them in banks. And, that is something, I can remember. I don't think you can find someone in an office in the U.S. that is currently using a manual typewriter on a daily basis. You might, but I don't know. I've never seen it. Not in a long time. Not since I was in high school. Actually, I took my typing courses on a manual typewriter. So it's something you'll see here pretty common. Oh, this is one of my best ones. This is quite common. When you go to the malls or whatever, you buy an item, and you get it home, you don't like it for some reason or another, or you find a flaw in it, or whatever, you might as well don't worry about taking it back. Now, there are a few rare cases on appliances and certain electronics they give you 7 days on, but then it's a hassle, a real hassle. And the general rule is there is no return. Absolutely no return. That reminds me of something I didn't write down. A warranty. Unless you live in an area that has a warranty center, it's a hit and miss. Of course, I've not had to experience it personally, but say if you buy a cell phone, and the majority of cell phones has a 1-year warranty. And I'll give you an example. I asked when I bought, it's been a couple of phones back, it's been probably 5 years ago. I was asking the cell phone shop, I said, after the initial few days, if I have an issue with my phone, what's the warranty procedure? Oh, you break it in, sir. I said, oh, that sounds pretty good. And I said, well, at that point, what happens? Oh, we'll send it to Manila. I said, what's the normal time of getting your phone back? And the cell phone shop said, well, anywhere from 3 months to 6 months. What am I supposed to do for a phone in the meantime? I don't know, sir. Well, what can I say? But that's some things you'll find different here. I don't know. It depends where you live. But chicken fights were illegal where I lived. But here, it's a common practice. And it's, as far as I can see, it's a national pastime. Personally, I don't like it. I went once or twice, stayed a few minutes. That's about it. That's because it was within walking distance of where I live. It just, I'm not a person that likes to just watch violence. Just the way I am. But it's a common thing here. Here's another one of my favorites. Most small towns do. This is where it actually is. And to me, it's a problem. Pedal caps. That's bicycles with a sidecar. They carry passengers, for a few pesos. It wouldn't be so bad. But there's so many of them. And they'll get 2 or 3 abroad, and you're at less than walking speed. And they have no idea of traffic rules at all, period. It's not uncommon for a pedal cab just dart out in front of you. They're dangerous. And if at nighttime they don't have no lighting, no reflectors, and they're very hard to see, especially if there's oncoming traffic and lights in your eyes. And if there's a pedal cab in front of you, you will not see it. one of the most dangerous things that I can think of here in the Philippines. It is. It's a nightmare. That's one of the main reasons. It's rare for me to drive at night. And when I take Grace to church on the early Sunday mornings, my heart is up in my throat what time I'm driving her to church because it's dark. And those pedal cabs are out that early. And you can't see them. And I have Grace, to help me watch for them. And even with her good eyes, she don't see them. It keeps you on edge. Bus stops. Public transportation bus stops. Oh, they have bus stops. And they have bus stops that are on the side of the road. But do they use them? Bus stops everywhere. Someone sticks your hand up. Hey, I need a ride. You think they get off on the shoulder of the road? No, they stop in the middle of the road and hold traffic. And they'd be going through a community and let someone off. They might ease up 50 feet and stop again and let someone off. Then another 50 feet, let someone off. Instead of all three of those getting off in one stop, they prefer staying on the bus for about 50 feet. Yeah. Schools. This is some of the things you take for granted, especially where I come from. A cafeteria. Public schools here, so far the ones I've seen, there's no cafeteria. Kids have to go out and outside the school grounds, usually on the highway, and buy food from vendors if they don't bring from home. And as you've seen in some of my videos, that can be a dangerous situation. It's even more dangerous at other places. Schools, janitor, non-existent, not in the public school. The kids actually clean the school and the CRs in the school. And the supplies is from the parents, the cleaning supplies. At the beginning of the school year and the middle of the year, parents have to they'll send them a list by the students what they need to get for janitorial needs. And also, there's one thing that I do like about public schools, and I'm sure the private schools the same, is their flag ceremony. I really, deep in my heart, really like that because, showing respect for the country, patriotism, the faith that their country is there for them and they're there for their own country. I really like that. No, I did that when I was in school. And this showed me what my flag means besides just being a symbol, that you just throw down on the ground, burn, whatever. That flag has meaning. That flag is my flag. And I've adopted the Philippine flag because it has shown me so much that I have actually took for granted. So, trucks. The most unsafe vehicles you'll ever come across here in this country. Poorly maintained. Most of them are antiques, patched together. It's not uncommon to see them sitting on a wooden box to drive them. Loaded with people in the back. Sugarcane trucks here on Negroes is the most common thing. A truck will be loaded with a crew in the back, the loading crew. And one of the worst things about these trucks, I guess the sugarcane trucks apply too if we're out on the road at night. But I've noticed that the commercial trucks, if you're ever driving at night, one of the most, I don't know how they put it in words, but they got a headlight on the rear and they're blind you. Back a few months ago, we was going to Domageddon, and we always leave early and it's dark. And I run up on a couple of those on the way to Domageddon. And you have to fall back so far and drive so slow because you can't get close enough to where you can see to get around them because that bright light. I mean, these lights were bright. A blinding white light pointing backwards. Here's one of my favorites, and I even drive one of them. Surplus vehicles that has been converted to left-hand drive from right-hand drive. They're a very common vehicle here in the Philippines. The little trucks, they call them multi-cabs, and the vans and so forth. And that's something you probably wouldn't see in other countries that have been converted. Now, I have watched a few videos of these vehicles being available in the U.S. and they're still right-hand drive. And you can legally drive them, but not here in the Philippines. It has to be left-hand drive, period. And there's no registration available for a right-hand drive vehicle. This is one of the things I need to make you aware of. When you go to stores, markets, malls, whatever, it's not uncommon for an item that you're looking for in no stock. I have noticed a trend here, even in fast food. They wait till they run out of an item before they consider ordering. Now, as you know, this country is made of a group of islands. And getting supplies to each individual island takes time. I've seen McDonald's, no hamburgers. Jollibee, no chicken. They don't order in advance. They wait till they're out. And that happens to a lot of things, especially in the grocery stores and malls and so forth. They got to sell that last item before they replace it. So when you see something on the shelf that you want, a common item, you better buy it. And if it's something you use on a regular basis, buy as much of it you can possibly afford. San Carlos, I like mustard. And they used to have an SM grocery there. And every time I see mustard on the shelf, usually you only have about 6 bottles. I just buy them all. And if I was lucky, it'd be back in stock by the time I use all of it. If I was lucky. That's no longer there anymore. It closed. And the one in town don't stock it. So now I have to order mustard online. That's just one example. Electricity here, 220 volts. I know most people are probably familiar with 220 volts. Your major appliances probably use 220. Clothes dryer, electric range, so forth. Here, everything's 220. And it's single phase. What I mean by that, and like in the US, 220 is a dual phase. You got two 110 volt lines that make the 220. Here it's a single line with a return. And so if you bring in an appliance from the US, you may have to get a block converter to operate your appliance. And you will need it if you bring in a 110 volt appliance here. And that can be expensive, depends on the wattage. But that's the way it works here in this country. So keep that in mind if you're considering shipping your appliances and so forth here in the Philippines. The electricity more than likely will be a problem for your major appliances. So think about that. Noise. Of course, you can hear here where I'm at now. It's not bad. All you hear is the rain. But I've lived in several places. In the city, it's not uncommon, as you can hear in the background there, to have a neighbor raising some roosters right next to you. Here I don't have that problem. I'm not right next to me. They're far enough away it's not disturbing. Dogs barking. You'll find neighbors have barking dogs. That was one of the worst things that I experienced in a subdivision. It was nerve-wracking. I don't sleep much anyway. And those dogs, I had at one time close to 20 dogs within 50 foot of me. And they didn't shut up. It was very disturbing. And then you got karaoke. Now, personally, I enjoy karaoke, but not when I'm sleeping. So, we have karaoke at our house from time to time on occasions, and it's quite enjoyable. Now, karaoke at night, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., with people singing plumb out of tune. I mean, it is terrible, and at a volume that is distorted. That's another thing too. I like karaoke, but I don't like it at a volume to where it's so distorted. It hurts your ears. The distortion does. Now, if it was clean music, undistorted, it's not so bad. But the distortion, where it is, the speakers are beyond their maximum capacity. It's terrible. That's something you'll run across. My last item on the list: clothes and shoes. They do not know how to size clothes and shoes. No. When I order shirts I can't find locally, I normally wore a 2X or extra large, depending on the manufacturer in the States. Here, if they don't have a 5X available, it's skin tight. This shirt here is a 4X, and it's basically skin tight. My God, a 4X in the States would cover a sofa. I'm not that big yet. Shoe sizes. No, I normally wear 11. If you've been right by 11 here, it might fit your big toe. It's very difficult for me to find a pair of shoes. Shorts the same way. I can wear 36, 38 in most cases if I can find normal sizes. But here, if you don't get a 42 or plus, and then when you measure it with a tape measure, you're lucky if it's 36. I have bought 42s and take the tape measure and measure the waistband and be 34. It's a task to get clothes to fit larger people like me. Now, if you're a normal size and don't require, anything above a 34, you won't have a problem. Or if you wear normal size shoes, between 8 up to about a size 10, size 10 they start getting difficult. You probably won't have a problem. But if you got big feet and you got a few extra pounds on you, like most of us do when we get older, clothes gets hard to find. Not impossible, but difficult. Well, folks, that's my little story on things that you'll find different here in the Philippines. And I really appreciate everybody taking a moment of their time and watch the video. So stay tuned and thank you again.